It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Gun Show. We run the show about 90 minutes live every day. We simulcast from YouTube and gun channels. We watch the comments coming in live from everybody watching. And let's see here. Well, anyway, you get the picture. We interact with the live audience and appreciate everybody watching live and watching later. We also appreciate the feedback and everyone that's subbed to all the channels, all the chat hosts, content creators. Everybody puts in a lot of effort. So make sure you check them out, support them, and check out gunchannels.com. It is a wonderful Tuesday, September the 5th, and we have a couple hosts today. Me, Jimmy, coming in from Arizona, and G-Webs from an undisclosed location.
San Antonio.
Ah.
So I'm actually at Edge's house, but we'll probably chat later from his garage or whatever. But
Okay.
fancy suburbs of San Antonio.
So on your way into Texas, you didn't deal with any of the flood, or you didn't even go that way, huh?
Water, no, but the wake of the flood, yes, because everybody in Texas is spaz, so they all bought their gas, like all of it, and gas stations can't replenish. So it's actually quite a bit of content there. We could talk about lots of different angles on it, but yeah, it was interesting. I'm driving through Texas and minding my business, just driving through Texas like you normally would, until I got about 4 hours away from San Antonio. Stop it. 4 hours towards Tucson. So if everybody looks at a map of Texas, right, big giant weird looking shape, and San Antonio's kind of in the middle, a little bit low, and there's that edge that goes over where they undercut New Mexico and stole all that land south of New Mexico. So you drive into El Paso and you're driving through like a whole bunch of Texas underneath of there. All that time during Texas, no problem. But still 4 hours away. Oh no, 5.5 hours. Wait, how far was that? 4.5 hours away from San Antonio. So that's nowhere near Houston. How far was that from Houston? It's like 2 more hours to Houston, right?
Arizona, about 4 hours going the other way.
So 4 hours away from the flood, gas empty, like the whole town, like those little, I don't know if you remember seeing these little plastic things they'll put on the pumps when they're out. They have these little like baggies they put on the pump so you know right away not to pull up. And there's people parked like if it's some sort of hurricane or something, and just parked, waiting for the gas truck to come so that they can be first in line. Every single place in town. So there's all these motorists like worried and on the phones. Hotels are all full out there. So I suspect it's sort of like a ring, it started in Houston and then expanded. Everybody left Houston and went to San Antonio and bought all the gas. All the San Antonio people got freaked out and bought their gas. Same thing happened all down the highways. So I think it's a ring that's going out, and it just takes time for those gas trucks to get out there and refill the gas stations.
There was gas all the way over here.
In town there's pretty much gas most places. There's a couple of places that are like, I saw one on the way over here. That was like 4 people in line and the truck was just pulling up. So they're like literally pouring it into the gas station and people are in line already. So yeah, kind of interesting to think about it as far as prepping. And then all these people are like, oh, I'm going to get my bug out vehicle. Yeah. Fill it with what? How much gas do you have on hand? Because it takes like no time for a place to dry out.
There's people filling up garbage cans.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's people filling up garbage cans when they are stressed out. Just anything they could put gas in, they were going and making a run.
Wow. That's nuts.
So I talked to a lady yesterday. I've been basically filling up every time I see gas. So, for every $5 or 5 gallons worth of gas, I'm buying more gas. So I talked to a lady at Love's, that station. And she said, oh, it's no big thing for us because we get a truck every night anyway. So that's like, I guess some of the more popular big ones are already set up to take gas all the time. But some of those little stations where, they might get gas once a week or something, when they're empty, they got to wait a week. They're on a schedule. They'd have to call and get extra gas. So there's a lot of people doing that. Anyway, it just screws up the whole system when everybody makes a run on it. And pretty much everybody says there was no shortage. There's nothing. There was no problem with the gas. It's just that when everyone buys it all at the same time, there's just not enough to refill, or there's not systems in place to refill it fast enough. So anyway, kind of an eye opener to see a bunch of people. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't think, who knows what people are thinking when they're driving on the highway or whatever, but just kind of parked and all desperate and sad looking and in mass. It's kind of freaky being in that town.
Like the apocalypse or something. Like, that's crazy.
No, nobody was like freaking out, but they were definitely like all just butthurt and sad that they couldn't do nothing about nothing. And I would have been pretty sad if I couldn't have found gas, because then I'd have been stuck unwillingly in some little dink town with no hotels. Just
man,
this kind of thing.
Yep, that is no good. So usually at the top of the show, we talk about things that have happened overnight. I guess that was it right there.
Yeah. So then I was about 5 hours from San Antonio, and why isn't that charging? Okay. So I'm about to lose battery here. I'm going to fiddle with some stuff. I was quite a ways from San Antonio, trying to decide if I'm driving into wasteland, or no man's land or something. But pretty much came up with a couple of strategies and decided to come in. And like Ed just saying, some of the stations do have gas, and they're all on, they're all getting refilled. Like I said, there's no shortage of gas. It's just that there's only so many trucks and so many human beings that can put the gas into the gas station.
Right. Yeah, and so many more taking it out. So
anyway, so I got to San Antonio. Okay, met up with Edge yesterday, and then I went down to the Alamo. It's kind of neat down there, and then did my thing. Now I'm here doing the show. So I'm gonna go look at gun shops later on today.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was seeing that you said that there was guards at the Alamo. I didn't know that they had that thing guarded 24/7.
Yeah. So I imagine they don't want people screwing with it, right? Don't mess with Texas. Mess with the Alamo. But I did put a call out on Instagram. So anybody that might be out there that knows about an interesting gun shop or a surplus store in this area, please let me know.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. So with that, I guess I kind of came up with this one on the fly for Second Amendment issues. And it's not, I guess it can be considered a Second Amendment issue. But I came up with it just because you're on the road, and I saw something interesting yesterday about California. Well, travel anyway, from the travel advisory. And I don't know, it's interesting for our Second Amendment topic today. I figured we would talk about traveling with guns and stuff like that.
Oh, no wonder my shit's leaking. Sorry, I'm working as I'm doing stuff on mute.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Figured out why my electronics are loose. I got a loose wire here. So what was going on in California?
Nothing's going on in California, but the Second Amendment Foundation issues a travel advisory. Your gun rights are no good in California. Let's see here. On August 7th, the Second Amendment Foundation, SAF, issued its first ever travel advisory warning. Warning American gun owners not to go to California unless they are willing to enter the state disarmed or risk going to jail. The gun rights group is warning law-abiding armed citizens that their civil rights could be in jeopardy due to the state's restrictive gun control laws. Second Amendment Foundation founder and executive vice president Alan Gottlieb observed, the California legislature has been out of control for years, and when it comes to placing restrictions on the Second Amendment rights of honest citizens right now, I wouldn't suggest to any gun owner that even travel through the state, much less to it as their final destination. Lawmakers in Sacramento either ignored or forgotten that in 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court incorporated the Second Amendment to the states via the 14th Amendment in the Second Amendment Foundation's landmark case, McDonald versus the City of Chicago. The Second Amendment's protection of the right to keep and bear arms applies to state and local governments, but they seem rather oblivious to the fact in the halls of California's legislature. Let's see. He added, if you are licensed to carry in your home state, the license is not recognized in California. It doesn't matter how many background checks you've gone through or whether you took a gun safety course, your license is no good in the Golden State, which suggests that your safety and safety of your family are of no concern to the state lawmakers or city administrators. You could be prosecuted for having a gun or personal protection in your or might get killed because you didn't. The choice is yours. Let's see here. Oh, there's a little bit more. Gottlieb is spot on. California refuses to recognize any concealed carry permit other than the one they issue. This is an expression of democratic hypocrisy whereby they have made concealed carry licenses extremely difficult for Californians to acquire. Fewer than 100,000 Californians have a license. They do not want to provide a means for additional law-abiding citizens to be armed via reciprocity. What does this mean? It means that when a visitor from another state drives into California, he is not supposed to be armed, regardless of the number of out-of-state concealed permits he possesses, or risks associated with being defenseless. None of the things matter because the Democrats have spoken. Gottlieb's verdict: by not going to California, the life you save may be your own. I wouldn't say that that's necessarily extreme, but it is kind of a good way to look at, not a good way to look at it, but a good thing to think about, especially traveling across state lines. Because I mean, other states, the California is probably up there as one of the worst, but there's still other states that have horrible laws like that and don't recognize out-of-staters. So I guess it's something to look into.
That's interesting. Do you think that's in response to anything? I couldn't really tell. Or is it just like a new thing they're going to start to do to let people know about states that are unfriendly?
It seems like it's just something new that they came out with. So let's see here. Yeah, they issued their first trip advisory. So they're telling people to stay out of California, which I guess could hurt because a lot of their money, I mean, I know that they have high taxes, stuff like that, but I'm sure a lot of their money, a good chunk of it comes from tourists and stuff. So yeah, that is kind of interesting. More to be seen in the future, I guess that would also be something to see.
I know that it's a big state and there's, a lot of money there, but I've always been one to say that, if you challenge the concept of spending your money someplace because of their policies, I mean, if they were doing something atrocious, nobody would have a problem saying boycott them, don't go there, go somewhere else instead. And when we're not in California and we see all the stuff happening to Californians because of the way they're running their state, a lot of people go, oh, throw up your hands, whatever. It's not my side of the lifeboat. What do I got to bail water? And what can you really do, right? If you're not a citizen or nothing, you can't vote. But I think that states like Nevada, for sure, and California, to some extent, even though it's so huge, rely on tourism. That's a pretty big chunk of their industry, their income. So I think that if you let people know and, hey, this is a choice I'm making, in other words, you could just not go, or you could write somewhere and say, here's why I didn't go. And what does it take to write that letter? So I think if you do something like that, that could be worthwhile.
Yeah, make them see like, oh man, we got to change something, and we're going to start losing a lot of revenue here.
Yeah, I mean, why would I want to go to Disneyland if I got to deal with laws that are not like my state?
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody's been to Disneyland anytime lately, but those hotels right across the street are not the greatest, upscale places. So, and you're unarmed. Let's see here what some of the comments are saying. Um, Clayton says if you use a gun in self-defense in California, you would get sued or go to jail. Yeah, it's funny, but it's more than it's true. Let's see here. Because foreign lawyers have taken over. And Tony out there was saying Illinois don't recognize any out-of-state permits. Let's see here on YouTube. Planning on visiting Cali. Bandito one. He said, "Hey, what up? I was planning on visiting Cali. Thanks for the info. I had no clue. I thought they would recognize CCW." Yeah, no, no. So people that are out there traveling and haven't really traveled before or are iffy about the state that they're traveling to might want to just take a second glance at some of the laws and some of the things, some of the hoops you might have to jump through in order to carry while you're there, or bring your guns with you, or go unarmed. Something you got to look into. And there's also, by the way, just in case anybody hasn't heard of them before, it is the Second Amendment Foundation. Are the ones that let out this, what do they call it? They issue a travel advisory. So they issued this travel advisory. Thanks. Yeah, definitely something to think
Where'd you
about.
find it?
I found this on, hold on a second, let me go back to Breitbart.com. Oh, all right, then let's see. Double check some of the comments we got going on. Nothing. Tony says choose Disney World. Yeah, I think Florida recognizes some out of state. Pretty sure anyway. Like I said, that's something that you guys would have to look up if you're traveling. So something to think about.
Yeah, so since I'm traveling, what I did is went to the Arizona Department of Public Safety. That's the government agency that's tasked with doing our permits in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a page. Most states will have a pretty decent page by this point with information on how to get a permit and how to renew it and all that kind of crap. But then it'll have reciprocity and reciprocal agreements. So I just went to that page and basically looked at each of the states. So all the states that I am or might travel through, there's one that I don't have carry in. Can you imagine what that one might be?
Does it
Like,
start with an I and end with Illinois?
yeah, starts with a. So yeah, Illinois doesn't recognize nothing. So all the other states do. You have to still. I mean, you just because you have the right to carry doesn't mean you have the right to carry the way you would in your state. You have the right to carry the way they do in that state. So you do want to double check on what their laws might be. One of the big ones for us in Arizona, since we just have a concealed carry weapons license, we can carry anything and as many of those as we want. So I can literally carry anything unless it's illegal in Arizona, which is what Chacos and billy or saps, like a leather weighted sap. Otherwise, I can carry anything I want, and we carry 6 guns if we want. Like I'll almost always carry 2, but when I'm in other states, that's an issue. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to, just because you can carry doesn't mean you can carry the way you would at home. And I'm assuming each state has their own equivalent of official reciprocity list. Down at the bottom, it'll say there's like a little waiver, of course, that says double check with each state before you carry there and make sure that it's still, that our information is accurate. So they're absolving themselves of any liability there. So it's always your duty to double check.
Yeah. Uh, Bandito one was saying he's from Arizona too. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter how good of laws your state is, it's the state you're going to. It ain't where you're from, it's your destination. Or I guess, well, if you're passing through, there's really nothing to worry about. Am I correct in that? As long as you have them like stored in your trunk or something, or out of your reach. I might be mistaken on that one.
I muted while the giant garbage robots are going by.
No problem.
So with the new time slot in the second day, what kind of viewers we got? Did anybody manage to follow us over today? I posted a thing on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the chat is going a little bit better, and it's 20 viewers. So yeah, we had more than yesterday.
Right on. Well, again, appreciate everybody that joined us to the new time slot. I think we lost Bob and Smeggy, so this might not have been a great job or a great choice, but we got a Jimmy, and I really think this will work better. I mean, it's still super hot. I forgot that it's 11 or noon, depending on how far east I go.
Yeah.
So it's still better than waiting all day and then having a show to do. So this way I can, for traveling at least, get up and do computer work. We can do the show together, and then I have time to go do stuff for the day and not have a deadline at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So hopefully everybody will appreciate it. And if you're listening in the future at our old time, hopefully that still works out for you. You're going to lose a little bit of the interactivity and all the prizes, but you can call in sick to work or whatever, quit your job. Those are valid options.
Don't work like a sucker. Tune into the Daily Gun Show.
But you just don't get paid nothing.
But conversation is priceless.
How do you deal with the humidity in Texas? Holy crap. Like at home, I just put water on this cloth and I'm wiping it on my face. And at home, this would be super refreshing because it would dry off and cool. And all I'm doing is smearing moisture from one part to another part of me. It's horrible.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you how's the weather out there, but apparently I don't have to.
Yeah, Edge says it's great. I think it's nasty. It's like Florida here. It's all hot and humid.
Well, yeah, I mean, things that live in the sewer probably think that it's great after their whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He's probably used to that shit.
If you like your shirt to constantly stick to you, it's great. I like my shit to hang loose. Hey. Dog's liking it, though. Edge's dog. He peed in 3 states yesterday. He's pretty happy. He went to the Alamo. He doesn't know what the Alamo is, but he liked it there.
Oh, yeah, you got to walk him around out there?
Yeah, the Alamo is right in the center of the downtown, at least as far as I can tell. And it's empty. Like, there was about 4 human beings, me and my dog, down there last night at 2 a.m. One of them was the guard, another one was a cop, and then some guy cleaning streets, and then some other guy on a bicycle. But I basically had all the downtown to myself. So I just parked right in front of the Alamo, took a picture, and then walked my dog over. And the cops would drive around. They didn't care. And the guard was just watching me. He probably had happy to have something to do to watch. I wasn't any problem or anything.
That's really cool.
Have we been getting any suggestions? I'm trying to multitask here. But like I said, I figured out I had this short in the electronics, and it's been bugging me. And I figured out, I kept looking at it, and everything looked right. And I figured out if I wiggle this wire, everything starts again. So I just went in there, since I'm at Edge's place and I have a minute, dug everything apart, and I figured out there was just this one ground side of the battery post was loose, like barely touching. So I just tightened that up, and I should have good electronics now. So I've been a little distracted.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Anyway, I'm back now, and I'm watching the channel or the show over on the gun channel side. Thanks everybody showing up. It's like we got quite a few of the regulars. I'd like to get or put a question out there, since I don't know what happened to Bob. We've been texting him. He joked around that this is too early to do the show, but maybe he wasn't joking. Maybe this is earlier than he wants to get up, being retired and everything. And we lost Smeggy because we put it right in the middle of the day. So he's at work. So I would like to just ask out there, obviously we only got however many people are watching, but I'm assuming you're the most dedicated of the viewers. Let us know. Is it that bad of a time slot? We can always, just because it seems to work easier this way, we could always do it a different way. So give us some feedback. We don't want to make yank everybody around to make it unviewable. And of course, any suggestions you have for stuff would be great. Anything? We're always interested. Our email is dailygunshow@gmail.com. Angry says he likes the time slot.
Yeah, I've gotten a mixed bag of reviews, I guess. Some people say it's a little bit too early. Some people love it. They could listen to it at work and stuff like that.
I guess I'm going to go look at the gun channel side, or the YouTube side. I haven't been looking over there.
Let's see.
Oh, we got people over there, too. So, yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the views, but if you would, give us thumbs up over there. We only got a 1/4 thumb up percentage going right now.
That's a 4 likes to 17 watching ratio, guys.
All right, so here's our thing over here this week. Normally, what we do is we take this top one and then cut it, and then there's a tab down here called Past Shows, and then I go all the way to the bottom of that. But we'll probably start a new one since this is going to be a pain in the ass to drag down to the bottom of. Anyway, I go down to the bottom of that tab, and then I drop notes down there. And that's helpful for if we ever want to redo a topic or see who the person of the day was or something like that. And then just they're not showing up, so I'm just going to delete all this. And I drop a few extra lines underneath here, so we have a place to put today's link. Anyway, just doing a little background there. So our Second Amendment issue today is travel. And then we have a wild card subject, and then we got state of the state of Arizona. With Dano not here, I'm not prepared to do anything like that. Did you do anything for that?
No, I was just going to talk about how great Arizona was.
Yeah, we can do that. Dano basically would go to Wikipedia, and he might have done more research than that. So we're going to be missing that. That's sad because I think that was a pretty neat feature. So we'll try to see what we can do to work some time in to do a little bit of prep work for that each week. But I guess we'll start off with travel. So, there's different kinds of travel for sure. I'm most interested in the car travel right now, but then there's, airfare and rail and that kind of thing. So, and then I guess that's most major routes. So, I don't know if we want to pick one or if the audience has any specific things, but how the show works. We usually throw some topics out there just to kind of give us a general thing to kick around. I don't know, that worked pretty good when we had 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, it might go a little quick with just 2 of us.
Yeah, that's what was happening with me and Bob when we were just doing it by ourselves, is the show would last like 15 minutes because we were like, here's a thing. Yep. That was over.
Done. Well, I mean, look, I guess we could kind of go through a little bit of all of them. I'm familiar with going to, I went to Nevada before. That was it. And I carried everything in the trunk, had the magazines unloaded, had them in their boxes and everything like that. That's how I figured I'm supposed to travel with them. So that's just what I did. Haven't really traveled in a train with guns, haven't traveled in an airplane with guns, so I can't really speak too much on those.
Well, haven't done the train, but Haas took the train down here before with guns, and they basically are okay. You got to put the guns underneath. So I guess that's sort of an issue because you're basically putting your guns underneath the train, and you don't get to constantly watch who has access to that. So if you got a interesting looking duffel bag or a rifle case, I don't think there's a lot of theft, but there's that potential. You just don't see it. It's not like an airplane where everybody doesn't see their luggage. So I guess that was an issue for him. Or wait, did we say bus or train? That was train. And I imagine bus. I don't know if there's even I haven't ever looked at bus, but planes are pretty simple. It's like if you're in a state or a city where carry is a thing, then it seems like the airports, there's no issue. It's just like flying with kids or a dog or something. I mean, it's just maybe, like a dog, I guess. It's like not super common, but fairly common, so nobody has any problems. I've heard when you go to states where they're not used to it, then they freak out and they're just not used to it, right? So, and the procedures will get weird because they're just not honed, they don't do it all the time. But otherwise, fairly easy to deal with. We flew to Salt Lake City one time with guns, and my bag was okay. I don't know. They just randomly checked Lefty's bag, and it's interesting. They bust into the bags. You know how they bust into a zipper? You ever seen that?
Yeah.
You jab a ballpoint pen into a zipper, and then it opens, and then you just run the zippers back and forth, and it closes again. So that's what they do. They just busted into his bag through the zipper, put like a little, and then they busted open his gun case and broke the lock and looked at it, and then put a little note in there and said, "We looked at your gun."
Oh man.
Weird, but what are you going to do? It already happened, and it's the feds, so I don't know even if there's any repercussions, but I think that's kind of their job too. So I'm not sure. So that was a little weird, but other times we've flown no issues, and I've never had any real problems with airports other than not so much issues with the guns as much as like somebody's just a jerk or like a bitch, and she just wants to, her life, revolves around screwing people that have to deal with her, those kind of people. So it could have been a dog, or it could have been a heavy object, or it could have been anything, and she would have been just the same way, I think. So I haven't really experienced too much weird stuff with firearms flying. But you were saying driving to Nevada. You know now that all you have to do if you want to drive to Nevada is do nothing. Put your gun in your pocket and go to Nevada.
Yeah. See, at the time I didn't do that. This was a couple years ago when I really wasn't too hip on the laws, I guess. But yeah, now I know.
But yeah, that's pretty much the rule of thumb, right? As long as you have your gun put someplace away and if unloaded, and then the ammo somewhere else, it's pretty much your safe travel laws from the Gun Owners Protection Act, and most state laws are pretty much in line with that. I don't know. I don't drive through the states that are horrible. I don't know if they put extra burden on, but I don't think they can. I don't know, maybe they can put extra burden on.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I was kind of bringing up earlier when we were talking about that California thing. Like if somebody were to have to like no detour possible, have to drive through California. Well, I guess they wouldn't have to, but have to drive through California, have to drive through Chicago or New Jersey, and say they get pulled over, right? Or would you just say nope, no guns, or do you tell them you have a guns and see what happens?
Well, I would never say no guns, because then that's lying to an officer. That's a federal offense, more than likely.
Right. Yeah.
So I can see places. If you go from like Washington and Oregon to Nevada or to Las Vegas or something, I think you could go around, but it's like a long, long way around, and you do have to cut a corner of California. So that's one where I could see somebody needing it. But back east, there's like Maryland. Stupid state reaches up there underneath Pennsylvania all the way over to West Virginia.
Yeah.
So if you want to go from like the free state of Pennsylvania down to the free state of Virginia, you got to drive like all the way through West Virginia or something. Like there's just for what, a 15-minute drive through Maryland? It's ridiculous. I don't know how people deal with that.
Yeah.
I imagine they just drive through. You just have to unlock your shit or unload your shit and lock it up and drive through and then load up again.
Yeah. Yeah, I figure it would just be like a regular traffic stop, except for the part where they, go and make sure your guns are unloaded or whatever, locked up, properly stored, whatever.
So, Ghost said that Bandito has a question. So I think it's this last one, maybe. So, do you have an opinion? This is from Bandito on the YouTube site. Do you have an opinion or advice for concealed carry and not printing standing out? In Arizona, just live your life, man. Nobody pays attention, but it definitely feels weird. I used to carry back in the day, like everybody, misdemeanor carry, where you just carried everywhere and it was a misdemeanor, so nobody cared. You would, the worst that would happen is they'd say, "Hey, don't carry that gun around." So for years and years and years and years, I carried that way. And that was mostly when we go hunting or fishing or down by the border. And then, sometimes around town or something, but not, usually just when we were out doing something. So it was a lot of times, I guess you'd call open, just in a regular holster when I'm out hunting or whatever. So whenever I did start to carry concealed, for some reason I decided on H&K USP 45. So that was my first carry gun, and that was not a small gun. So it wasn't small. I'm not small, but it felt like I had a massive tumor hanging out of me. But I mean, I don't know how long you've been carrying, but seriously, you could just put something else on on your belt, like a big bag or something, like a hip set. What do they call them things? Those pouches, fanny pack. Put like a fanny pack on with like a shirt or something over it, and have that giant bulge. And even if you bump into people with it, like people are just oblivious; they just don't look. So the best advice is, of course, printed shirt. Something with a print on it, like a Hawaiian type of shirt, because you don't see the bulges and angles and stuff so easily, as opposed to like a solid color shirt. Having one, I like to go long. I'm tall anyway, but I like to get the long ones so that I don't have to worry about every time I reach my arms up, my shirt's going up. So that might help. And then it's up to you if you're wearing a shirt open or not tucked in, whether or not you want to go one size bigger or not. Some people don't like having shirts that are too big, and some people don't care. That's my advice: is the print, the long, and then a little bit baggy, or at least, I find that Carhartts and Dickies and other brands are all, they all say 2 extra large or 2 extra large or something, and they're all different. So, some might be tight and some are loose.
Yeah, I'm OCD about concealed carrying. I don't know. You can, like you said, in Arizona, you could go out and live your life. It doesn't matter. No one's even probably gonna mess with you or care. But I don't know. I like the concealed carry, so I pretty much agree. Though I wear it somewhat form fitting to me, nice and snug against my body. I usually wear it at about 4:30, depending on what kind of holster I have, and put a little forward cant on it and a little bit of a looser shirt, not tucked in, and you can't even tell that you have it on.
Wait a minute. Did you just describe an FBI carry?
I guess in a way.
Yeah, behind your back or like in your kidney almost, and then 45 degrees.
Yeah.
FBI can't. Pink is saying he wears one size larger shirt, and he says he always wears black. That works too. Pink saying his first was a 1911. Yeah, throw out your first CCW guns.
Yeah.
You know what the best CCW gun for a first gun would be? A pocket gun, like a revolver, like a J-frame or something, in a pocket holster. Because literally, there's nothing. It's just a bulge in your pocket. No one knows what that is.
Yeah, that's true. You get a nice little holster with it too. Yeah, no one will even tell you're printing. Well, you won't be printing, I guess. But my first gun that I carried, and people have laughed at it before, it was the P89 Ruger, and that was rough to conceal carry.
Yeah, I carried P85s back then when I was talking about, and they were cool guns. They were double action and everything. That was cool back in the day. They had all kinds of, they were all ambidextrous and all that. That was all like cutting edge. Talk about innovation. But yeah, those things had like knobs and angles and sharp pieces for some reason. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. It was like the opposite of a melted gun. It was like designed to have jabby angles.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, one of the reasons I stopped carrying it, because it kept hitting me in my side. I have like a little, like a, not a cut, but like, a little burn on my skin or something. Friction.
How bad is the background noise? I got a dog on one side making noise and a fan on the other.
Not bad. You can hear the fan a little bit, but other than that, you're fine. You're coming in loud and clear.
Okay. I'm on a computer now, so
okay.
See what's working, what isn't.
Yeah, so speaking of which, kind of, I know I don't mean to get off topic, but we were, yesterday you were having a little bit of problems. Is it just the area you were in, or are you having problems with your whole internet connection?
Oh, no, not at all. That was just, it was 100% where I was. Yesterday, I was behind a restaurant at the tiniest little town, basically, is it Lordsburg? It's whatever that first town when you leave Arizona on 10. So it's basically a town designed to sell fireworks to people in Arizona. That's about it. So I imagine back in the olden days, that's probably like, a gas station for the old-fashioned cars, or maybe even water stop for horses. I mean, it's like an extra town that doesn't need to be there, but it's close. It's like the first stop to the border, so it's where everybody goes to the fireworks from southern Arizona. But and it's like dead. You know, the town is gone. There's like 2 gas stations and that restaurant and like Crackleberries or something. So I was just behind there, and I don't even know if they. I mean, they had internet obviously, but it was not great. But no, this AT&T thing's been doing good. I have the it's called a Mobley from AT&T, and they only sell it every once in a while. It plugs into your OBD2 port, so it's for a vehicle. I think it's for like soccer moms. You're supposed to plug it into your car and let your kids, you don't have to train your kids or anything. You just put them in front of TVs now. So I think that's what they're for. They sell it like that. So it's $20 a month, unlimited and what do they call that? Throttled. So it'll never get slower. So as soon as I figured out that works good, I just cut my phone down to 1 gig. So my phone is at a $30 plan or something. So with taxes, my bill cut in half. Worked out pretty good. I'd highly recommend it. So far, I've used it in Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and it's worked everywhere.
Snap. Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, so yeah, so hopefully it's working better. And then, like I say, trying with the new plan like this, it's tough. I'm not on tour to go hang out with people, but the first place I went was to hang out with Edge, really. So tomorrow the show will probably be Rogue, just out in the middle of nowhere. Then the next day, I'm hoping to hook up with somebody and do the show with them. So it'll probably be off and on, going, just remote, and then finding some place to do it, and then remote. And then for a little while, if everything works according to plan, I should have like a home base for a bit. So we should have decent internet for the traveling here.
Cool.
See Enrique Sonora join us on the Gun Channel side. Welcome. And there's John over on the Gun Channel side. Let's see. Good. Put new starter in my backup bike and cleaned all the guns from the weekend. Oh, I see. At first I couldn't figure out what backup bike meant, but that's Cycle Camp. So, right on. He's saying you had a good weekend.
Nice.
Good day, maybe?
A good week, yeah. Unless maybe he's off. His weekend is Monday and Tuesday. Well,
all right, well, we got a wild card topic to talk about, so throw us a topic and we'll talk about that. Otherwise, I guess we keep going.
Cool, yeah. Well, usually we take the first break to mention somebody over on gun channels and something like that. So, I don't know. You have anybody off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to do this goofy because I only got the one monitor. So we're gonna go over to our Patreon over on patreon.com. So the show has a Patreon over there. And I think I can go down here and find it. Actually, I'm just going to pick one off of here. So is my screen sharing? Can you see my Patreon page here?
Yeah, I can see it.
Just the gun website's one, but that's close enough. So we support, or we mention a bunch of different channels over here. Some of them are big and some of them aren't. So I wanted to feature some of these. We talked about this indie one last week. It's one of Bob's favorite channels. We got Clover in there, Heavy. Let's see. We got Hank Strange was on his show the other day. Let's talk about Schwell. So we'll talk about more of these in the future, and then we got Ghost down here. But we're going to talk about Schwell today. So Schwell is a guy out of Florida. He's been doing stuff for a while. He was Air Force, and then I think retired, or he's out now. And he's been doing all kinds of things. I think mostly he's been working with that Big Three, which is I don't know what to call it. It's like it started out as a conference sort of with writers and basically photographers and writers back in the olden days of print magazines. They would show up in Florida and coordinate a bunch of writers and photographers with manufacturers and stuff. So he's now like helping to run that Big Three. I don't know exactly what he does there, but he's helping with keeping people aware of that Big Three and something like that. So he's got a Patreon, but unlike a lot of the people that's out there trying to create funds for a project, he's really just trying to get the word out there on other stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. He does a lot of collaborations and shout outs and stuff. So time to give Schwell a shout out. So if you haven't checked him out, he's got a YouTube channel. He's on all the social medias. He isn't really on gun channels too often, but he does post stuff. So he is a member of gun channels and does post stuff on the main page. And that'll be our, I guess he is a gun channels member of the day, Schwell. I guess it's Schwell 11 actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some of his Big Three stuff, some of the footage and content that he did on there, and it's actually pretty interesting. So, yeah, I haven't had a chance to really talk to him in any of the chats, so definitely has good content out there.
2 or 3 daughters and 2 little puppies. So he's real active with sharing all that on his Instagram. And again, I'm a big advocate of people sharing, if they're going to share your life and stuff, and make guns part of it. So don't hide that stuff. So he's definitely a good ambassador to everything. He's out there being a family man and just having the ups and downs of family life, as well as all the fun stuff he does with firearms, and put together a gun or something, and then some range time or going to an event or something, and then back to vacation with the kids or something like that. So I think that's great, and it lets people know, even if they don't go out and pursue it, it's out there, it's on the web, they can't ignore it, or they can't deny it at least, that gun owners are regular people. It's just another hobby or interest like anything. All right, so I'm going to head over to the gun channel side. It looks like we got a suggestion for a topic from Clay. Are transferable machine guns a good investment? And didn't we talk about this? Did we talk about it on this show the other day?
I don't know if we were talking about it on air or off air.
Oh, that might have been off air then. So anyway, I thought that was a good topic since we just got done talking about that. But are they a good investment? Hell yes. So I think it was you and I were talking somehow. I don't know if we were live or not, but somebody had said something about
that Dragon Man, right? We were talking about or something like that.
I think so. That guy in Colorado. Might have been after he got his guns stolen or something. That's where it came up. But anyhow, somebody said, how does somebody afford that many guns? I don't think there's that much. Oh, it was when we were driving around in Phoenix. That's what it was. When we were going to the club. So it was just Jimmy and I. So we were just chatting about it. And, okay, let's think about it. So you see people with lots and lots of money and lots of machine guns. Great. So you figure rich people own machine guns. But let's look at it the other way around. When my grandpa was alive during World War II, doing his thing, and when he got when the war was over, he was in construction, so he bought quite a bit of stuff off the government, the equipment and machines and stuff that had never even gone to war. Like it was made, and then he just didn't need it, so they sold it as surplus, and it was cheap, and it allowed him to get into business or whatever. And he would, we'd be talking or whatever, and every once in a while he'd tell me about how cheap Harleys were. You could buy a Harley still in the crate, all greased up, ready to go to war. And they just never needed it, so you could just buy it ready to go. And there must be people that bought multiples of those and just left them, never opened it. So same thing with 1911s. He told me you could buy 1911s for like $5. They just never even seen life. They just were made and never went to war, and nobody wanted them because they just got done with a war. Nobody wanted any of that stuff. So same thing with rifles and everything else. So okay, so you got 1940. Well, I guess that was after the 36. But you still get, before the 86, you get bringbacks. You got people who are buying Thompsons. $200 tax stamp, sure, but whatever. You're buying guns fairly inexpensive. So let's say you buy a bunch of grease guns, and the $200 tax stamp is going to kill you, but you're buying them as an investment, and you buy them in the 50s or the 40s even, 50s probably. So I don't know how many people did that, but let's just theorize that somebody bought a couple of 3. I don't know, grease guns or something after World War II, maybe a Thompson or some 1911s. And these have been nice 1911 A1s, right? So you get to the 70s or the 80s, and those things had value. Then you get to the 90s, and the value skyrockets, and people start sharing stuff on, with the beginning of the internet and the, just people being more aware of hobbies and stuff. So anyhow, you end up with a situation where somebody had bought a couple of guns, maybe as an investment, sells, $10 or $15 item for $10,000, and then that's the 80s or 90s or 70s even. And what are they doing? They're buying more NFA stuff, and it's still expensive, but nowhere near that expensive. And now that $200 is nowhere near as much as it was in the 40s and 50s. So what you end up with is guys that started the hobby letting the hobby continue their stuff. So I know plenty of guys that had a bunch of guns. They sold a few to buy 3 more, sold one of those to buy 2 more. So not only are they now rich based on all the product they own, but also have a bunch of guns. And it started with a few at a very low price. And it could be the same for pretty much anything. I know people that have bought M60s back when they were cheap, and now they're super expensive. So NFAs are definitely a good investment. I imagine some of that is due to the regulation, but I think it's more of the limited number. So the regulation is responsible for the limited number, but it's the limited number, I think, that keeps the number up. I'm definitely, I haven't been, no one has ever successfully changed my mind that I believe that when the NFA is removed, those guns will still have value. You can build 1 million new Thompsons, and that's not a Thompson from World War II. You can build 1 million Stens, and it's not a Sten from World War II. So those guns are going to have value. The ones that were made in like 1974, I don't know, maybe those won't have as much value, but they're still classic Colts, and SP1s still have value, right? Even though they're not fancy M4s or something.
Well, see, now how about in recent times where the price is already pretty high on them, and not necessarily something that's World War II, say like a full auto Mac 10 or MP5 or something like that.
Still good investment. I know people that bought Macs for $1,500 that are selling them for $5. I know people that bought them for $3 that can sell them for $5, and I know people are still buying them for $5 because they know they're going to be $8 one day.
Yeah. Yeah, because I could see definitely as time progresses on, the prices going up.
What do you think, Edge? We're talking about NFAs as a good investment.
Yeah, as long as you can hold on to them. I don't say you're going to lose your money, unless you got to come out of it quickly.
That's true. If you got a fire sale, anything, but that's anything.
Yeah.
Except for maybe gold or something that has an actual value that you can just take to a market. But anything that's collector's thing or something. Yeah.
I've never seen it go down in price.
All right, well, that's a good wild card topic. Thanks for that. Looking over at the comments to see what people are saying. Clever Tech saying, I can still remember seeing M16s for less than 10,000. Now good luck to finding one for less than 25. They can't make a pre-86 ever again, so even if it's repealed, exactly, the value will hold. So I agree that there's always going to be somebody that was born in that year, or their kid was born in that year, so they want that year. There's always going to be people that, for whatever reason, their dad had it, their grandpa used one like it. They're going to find value in that. So they might lose a little bit of value, but I think overall they're good investments. Come on, sit down. The dog's all excited to see Edge. All right, so Go says that Tactical Tuesday tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. They'll be talking practice versus training at the range. He's got military moment and then a special guest. He was guest tonight. It's not Edge. It's a spoiler. It's not Edge.
Also special guest.
I don't know if we lost Jimmy.
No, I'm sorry. I was just actually looking to see because I had a few quiz questions come in to us, and I was just thinking if it would be a good time to do them.
I think personally, if we're talking about NFA still real quick, I think one of the best investments would be a Sear. So you could get those Sears for a while for like nothing because they made so many of them right at the end of 86 or in 86. Those things are $5 or more now. That's just a little tiny piece of metal. But I think they're super fun because then you can drop them into like any of the guns in that platform. Drop it into any M4 and it's a machine gun. It's awesome. Yeah. All right. Oh, you're talking about somebody's. I have a friend now, full disclosure, he's an oil man back in the 80s. He has dozens of machine guns, but he bought them back in like 10% of what they're worth now. Exactly. And that's what a lot of people that own those guns. It is that same with all guns, though. I mean, think about a lot of guns that you if you would have bought a few Pythons, you'd make some money. don't know if I'm still connected or what.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna say let's blow off State of the State because Edge wants to go eat, and we've been going for an hour. And then we can do a gun shop of the day. Do you have one in mind?
I could do my local. Haven't really talked about them before.
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to say I stopped at a couple in New Mexico on the way over here, and then a couple in Texas. Not in New Mexico. None in New Mexico. I was going to stop at one in New Mexico, but then I was going to stop at a couple in Texas, but then it was Labor Day, so everything's closed yesterday. So I didn't get stuff anyway.
Oh yeah.
I stopped in front of them, see the shop, but I'm going to post the picture of the front of the shop and see if anybody out there's been there to give us some reviews of it. But yeah, everything was closed yesterday except for Walmarts and stuff like that.
Yep.
So which local are you talking about?
Well, I'll talk about this one. It's called AJI in Apache. Well, technically East Mesa, Arizona. And I really enjoyed going there.
AJI, I thought was Apache Junction.
Yeah, it is, but it's technically across the border. Like I don't know. Their map is kind of weird.
Okay.
But so technically it's on the border of East Mesa and Apache Junction, but it's in Arizona. And I like them because of their selection. They really have a good milsurp selection. They have old carbines. They have the 3030s. They have a little display case, which is why they became one of my local places. Like no matter where I moved at in Arizona, I usually ended up always going back there at least once a month or something like that because they have a junk drawer case and it's all old Saturday night specials. And they'll throw something in there like a PPK, for example, one time for like $289, or a Colt 1903 for a few $100. Like there's always something like interesting in there to find. Selection's all right. Prices are in or around what you would find anywhere else. It's a good place, and they do trade-ins, that kind of stuff. So I really like them. Family-owned business also, and that one also I could divulge that information, I guess. But that one is the one where um, the owner is the mayor of Apache Junction. So that's really cool. He does trade-ins and stuff like that during the week. You can go in there and talk with him, and he's a pretty cool guy. So that is AJI in Apache Junction.
What's cool about that place is I'm almost positive they were a client of mine in like 2006 to like 2009, right before YouTube. I think right around YouTube, I was like, hey, if you guys want to do YouTube, awesome. But if you don't, goodbye, because I'm doing YouTube now. And I don't think that guy cared at all about YouTube. I never actually met him. I just, I put the shingle out there to do web work for people, and I got recommended from somebody. Somebody recommended me to him, and we talked on the phone a few times, and I helped like promote the shop. We had a lot of websites, so we would have the ads up, and then he had the store, a really good online store, and we would just link to the items, and had a pretty good relationship there for a while. And then, like I say, I just got to a point where I was like, hey, if you don't want to participate in YouTube stuff, then good luck, but I'm going to talk to you later because I'm doing this video stuff. I don't have time to charge around. But, it's kind of neat to meet him, and I like that store. I don't know, it's talking to Edge here, but it's kind of store where every single nook and cranny, ceiling to floor, is stuff. And you can go in there 5 or 6 times and still explore, still discover new stuff in there.
Yeah.
Especially for stuff like just a little weird shovel or like a sling thing or something where right now you don't care, but 6 months from now you're like all into grands or something, and all of a sudden you go into a shop like that and it's like, oh, awesome, they got all this stuff.
Yeah, there was one week in there where they had like a bunch of English bayonets and stuff. Like they'll just get like weird stuff.
Yeah, that's one of those things too, with a local shop, unlike a big box. Somebody will come in with like a inheritance, or somebody will die and an estate, I guess. So yeah, you can get some. All of a sudden, some really neat like collections pop in.
Yeah. And when Angry came out here, he was real mad that he didn't bring out a CNR. He was like, "Damn it!" You know, like he was, yeah. That
Really?
was kind of cool.
You would think CNR people would travel with it, just in case.
Yeah, it's not going to take up too much space in your luggage, I wouldn't imagine.
They're obviously gun addicts,
Yeah.
licensed gun.
But like CNR though, that's the kind of place that you would want to go. I mean, like I said, it would be. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they don't have what you're looking for, but it's definitely like you said, you usually find something new in there. So yeah, that was our the gun shop of the day, I guess.
Yep, every single day we like to feature a new gun shop. So much so that we're driving around spending thousands of dollars on a credit card in order to do that. After the show today, Edge and I are going to drive around San Antonio and look at shops. I've been to a record store here one time that was insanely awesome. And then, yeah, I was a dumb kid back then, so I might have gone to, I think I went to an awesome surplus store. This would have been like a long time ago. So anyway, we're going to check out a bunch of the shops here, and then we'll feature a new one every single day. And if you've got shops that you'd like to promote, we encourage you to send us an email, dailygunshow@gmail.com, so that you don't just have to listen to shops that we've seen. The whole point is to get people aware that their gun shops are important, right? They're the resource that we depend on ultimately, and legislation and just market is driving sales to internet and the big boxes. And Yankee's really the one who brought that up more than anybody, that all they got to do is make 2 lakhs of legislation and big boxes and online are gone, like just gone. Big boxes have no interest. They're only there for the money. Obviously, they're a big business. That's what they're for. So as soon as it becomes a disadvantage to them, how bad is that leaf blower? Is that killing it?
No, it's not bad at all.
Close that back door for me. But as soon as the big box stores have any kind of hindrance or something, they're going to drop guns. They don't care about guns at all. And online, honestly, most of the people I know online really are people from other areas of life, and they just said, "Oh, there's not enough marketing going on in gun people, or there's not enough, people on guns aren't savvy enough online." So it's just people who were savvy and knew what they were doing created online stores. Again, they may be a little bit more interested in the Second Amendment than a giant corporation, but given any kind of pressure or any kind of financial pressure, they're going to go on to the next thing, or go back to water beds or stuffed animals, or whatever the hell they used to sell. So, your local gun shop is your person who decided that this is what they want to do. I haven't met a gun shop owner yet who isn't like, I like the idea that I'm selling guns, right? Then like go, oh, I'm going to sell something. Guns have the best markup. Or I want to sell something. Guns, get the best women in the store. None of that. It's just because they want to keep the Second Amendment and individual freedom and all that going. So anyway, those are our best allies. And really the point of this show, when Bob came down to Arizona and we started going to gun shows together, and we were just bored. So we just drove around gun shops. That's what I do. Just because I like to do it. And we decided, hey, let's do a show where we feature a gun shop every single day. And now it's 400 something episodes in, something like that, close to 400 at least. And we're still pursuing that. So again, if you want to promote your shop, remember you got a camera in your pocket. If you carry around a phone, you carry around a really nice camera. Just get their permission to take some pictures and share them on Facebook or gun channels or Instagram or whatever it is. Send us a link, or you can always just send us the pictures, I guess.
Yeah. I'm looking over at the comments. Ghost Tactical is saying Bracken Guns is a good shop in San Antonio. And Anna was asking if you got your Bluetooth device yet.
Just pulled out my old-fashioned paper map, so we're going to use a pen and a map to figure out where some of these shops are and figure them out. Did you get the Bluetooth device for your phone yet? No. Like a headset? No. Oh, great. Thanks for the link here.
And did you hear the Bracken Guns for San Antonio?
Yeah, he also put a link in there, so I was just going to say I got to go find that, but now I've got the address. Like I said, I'm going to put it all on a paper map, the old-fashioned way. I think Edge and I are going to go eat, drive around, and look at some shops. Already seen the Alamo, so I'm done with my Texas tourism. Actually, I used to live here, so I went and looked at the places I used to live too. I was a baby, but I showed my mom the pictures.
My birth certificate says it, so it's so cool. So are we gonna looking to wrap this thing up here then?
I don't know. Do we have anything else on the schedule? I also got somebody decided to start blowing leaves all around here.
Yeah, that's always a good thing.
Well, tomorrow will be episode 393. I'm not sure where I'll be, but I think I'll be at a good spot. And then we'll be talking about entertainment. We'll be doing our good idea, bad idea, hollow points for Carrie. And then, well, I don't know what we're going to keep doing for the showdown. I need to get another monitor. Otherwise, normally Wednesdays, we do the hashtag Daily Gun Show Showdown. Or if you're using Instagram, we encourage you to use the hashtag Daily Gun Show. And then, well, usually we would have all gotten together and we would judge the pictures and then tell people who the best picture was. But with just me and Jimmy, it might be kind of biased. So
Yeah, well, and I'm set up to do it. So if we decide to do it, that's cool.
Awesome. So yesterday was the big drive. Now I'm east, right? I'm basically east of the Pecos, like a weirdo, like an Easterner, I'm like a Yankee now. So everything over here is like 5 minutes away from each other. So I think I did the majority of the drive, and I'll have to drive north a little bit, probably. But anyway, I'm just saying that I shouldn't have days where I have nothing else but driving to do, I hope, until I start getting back. So yeah, hopefully we can get together kind of pre-show or something and get together. Like I said,
Yeah, tomorrow maybe I'll end the early watch maybe like half hour early, something like that. I don't know. We'll get together though. Just let me know. All right, so cool. So I guess we're gonna wrap this thing up here right now. Thanks everybody again for tuning in. And since Bob isn't here, I guess we'll just throw a quote out there. This quote is from George Washington. It is far better to be alone than to be in bad company. So once again, just want to thank everybody for stopping by and appreciate you tuning in live and watching later. And we will see you tomorrow.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.